Alrighty everyone, welcome back. We are now at the last week of August of 2024, and before we get into the fall of this year, there's a lot of things that have been going on between the Walt Disney Company and Lucasfilm HQ ever since the cancellation of the Acolyte took place. By the way, this was the ultimate decision by Bob Iger and the majority of the board of directors after they witnessed the official and the final Nielsen ratings report that really put them into a corner, that really closed them in with a lot of course, the walls just really tightening their space. Disney CEO Bob Iger really had nowhere to go and had to make that call, and it created a large divide between the Walt Disney Company, Lucasfilm, and everyone else over at those studios. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So there's been a lot of back and forth drama happening between those like Kathleen Kennedy, Leslye Headland, the Disney executives, including Bob Iger, the CEO, and it's only getting worse. Now, we've all seen that a lot of fans, the majority of fans, are very much accepting the fact that the Acolyte was cancelled. I mean, this is something that I think needed to happen, and a lot of true George Lucas Star Wars fans have been really waiting for that ultimate call. But you have this actual minority of fans that are trying to support this thing, that are trying to gather up as a group to really kind of get all these signatures and to really kind of convince Lucasfilm to reinstate Season 2. Now, focusing on Leslye Headland, there's a lot of things going on there, and this all comes in the wake of her getting fired and removed from all Star Wars projects over at Lucasfilm. Let's get into this, shall we? Now, specifically, with Lucasfilm labeled as the worst division for the Walt Disney Company, those like Kathleen Kennedy and Leslye Headland have been involved in a back-and-forth battle with the Disney heads after Leslye Headland was fired and removed from several and all Star Wars projects behind the scenes that promised her a multi-million-dollar contract deal that she had lost in that process. Now, Headland recently delivered the following after getting fired from the Walt Disney Company and the Acolyte's cancellation. As a feminist who really sets my goals straight with the audience, one thing I will say that is truly irresponsible from the toxic side of the Star Wars fandom are the loud, opinionated fans that tend to be male-dominant. That is a growing issue for the rest of the core customer base for Star Wars, and more often than not, this results in a studio interruption, where the studios believe that this loud minority is the majority. In reality, that is just not the case, not the truth. Look, I have been in this business for many years, and there most certainly is a silent majority that loves and supports the Acolyte, though through and through. That, of course, root for things like benign sexism getting called out finally so that it can be addressed properly, and our support for the LGBTQ community in this show. I will admit there are many projects I am no longer in the talks with right now, and all I can say is that it is truly irresponsible for the same loud minority of fans that tend to be toxic males, shouting out into the void, making themselves appear to be the majority just to get things their way. I don't believe the Acolyte was a failure at all. In fact, I believe it was our greatest success in Star Wars, and it's absolutely frustrating for myself, all of us that worked on this project, when you try to create something for women by women, that you just get thrown heavy criticism for all the wrong reasons. The toxic male demographic is a very large issue with female empowerment and roles for women, especially when you see that in Star Wars. We always expect the same loud minority of fans to shout at us and make the most absurd claims, like what we are doing is some kind of an agenda, or our support for DEI is an agenda, and that's just ridiculous and makes absolutely no sense at all. Those are not agendas. They are just ways for us to gravitate toward a wider, more global audience, to adapt the Star Wars brand, and to expand our core customer base with new fans that can understand Kathy's vision and what creators like myself want to do in this universe. Hey guys, let me just stop here quick before I move on about what Leslye is spewing again. So, look, looking at the Acolyte, it's not about female empowerment or it being an all-female cast or anything like that. That's not the real problem with the show at all. The real problem with the show, and this should really be a reality check for Leslye Headland, it's the terrible writing, the execution, the acting, the directing, the writing. everything, even the cinematography at times, was abysmal. And even the cringeworthy line delivery by the lead star, or the actress, I should say. I wouldn't really go as far to call her a star. Amandla Stenberg. I mean, the minute she delivered that line, "Attack me with all of your strength," like it comes out of a Kill Bill movie or something, and getting that thrown into Star Wars makes absolutely no sense at all. It was at that point in time where people just started laughing at the series. And look, this movie, or should I say the series, was set up to be a murder mystery. When we found out who the killer was in the first episode, that's where everything began to go downhill right from the get-go. So moving onwards, alright, she goes on to conclude, "This is why I fully endorse Charmin Obaid-Chinoy and what she is about to do with Rey Skywalker in her upcoming movie, and I am still so excited. But when you are promised all these opportunities and to see them just go away because of angry men, I think this is what needs to be fixed in the film industry as soon as possible. Like now, because it's not helping anybody. We need more shows and films like The Acolyte to set the record straight with how entertainment needs to be, especially in a brand like Star Wars. And I have seen growing support for all of it." So I think that what she's alluding to about the support growing for it are the signatures out there. I don't know if you guys knew this, but there's a lot of people grouping together. I wouldn't say a lot. Let me correct myself with that. There are somewhat of a bump of people, but they're still a minority, that are trying to get this thing reinstated, calling for the Acolyte to come back. And it's not like it's in, the tens of millions calling for the Acolyte to come back into the equation. It's nothing like that at all. It's not going to change Lucasfilm's minds. It's not going to change Bob Iger's mind at all. This series was indeed an abysmal failure, a colossal failure for Lucasfilm. It makes The Last Jedi look like a major success among the fandom. Now yes, The Last Jedi made money because, let's face it, this was coming well after both Force Awakens and Rogue One, and it was a movie, by the way, and it was the return of Luke Skywalker, fully expected to make money. But when word of mouth got around, people weren't seeing that movie 2, 3, 4 times. And that was the ultimate reveal there, is that there were far less repeat viewings with The Last Jedi than there was with, for example, The Force Awakens or Rogue One. So again, this is an interesting development, the fact that you have the Acolyte now being claimed to hold this silent majority that Leslye Headland believes. This is no different than what Tatiana Maslany said with the She-Hulk series, that there's a silent majority out there that is so massive that just doesn't want to come out and address themselves as supporters of that show because of being frightful or anything like that, of getting ridiculed. That's her overall claim, that's her overall view of the current status of the backlash. So overall, I would love to hear what everyone has to say about the ongoing scenario with the Acolyte in late August, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.